All right, so Sophie and I are going to read to you chapter 6. Nothing less than an impossible trick. An impossible trick. I had it. I have impossible challenges for you all, I said in my best stage magician's voice, but I will start slowly with an easy math challenge. Take 12 apples from 17 apples. How many do you have? 5, of course, said Demeter. No, 12, I said. You have the 12 you took from the 17. Hermes elbowed Hestia, and they both laughed. Now a tougher challenge, I continued. Which is correct? 25 and 8 is 34, or 25 and 8 are 34. 25 and 8 are 34, Artemis called out. No way, sis, said Apollo. 25 and 8 is 34. The gods and goddesses argued back and forth. Is, are. Neither, I said. 25 and 8 is 33. And everyone groaned. Oh, they were all focused on the grammar, and he was talking about the math, right? Now for the most difficult challenge, I said. Make Athena figure it out, said Aphrodite. She's always reminding us she's the goddess of wisdom. Athena shot Aphrodite a nasty look. Okay, I said to Athena. How much dirt is in a hole 2 meters wide, 2 meters long, and 2 meters deep? You call that a challenge? It's child's play. Do you guys know? Athena tucked her owl under one arm and gestured with the other. 2 by 2 by 2 is 8. So when you're trying to find the volume of something, you actually multiply the height times the width times the length. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8, right? Okay. There are 8 cubic meters of dirt in the hole. 0, I said. There's no dirt in a hole. Ha 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 ha! Ares hooted, pounding his spear. Goddess of wisdom, my eye! Athena was starting to look a little steamed. I figured I'd better do something quick, or she would be my goddess enemy for life. But the final challenge calls for someone strong and brave, I said. Ares pushed aside Poseidon and Dionysus. You're looking at him. I'll bet I can sit somewhere in this room where you can't. Fred and Sam looked at me like I might be nuts. Nothing to it, said Ares. I sat on the floor. Then I stood up. Can you sit there? Ares sat on the floor, then sat up, then stood up. Easy. I sat on Zeus's throne, then stood up. Can you sit there? Fred and Sam looked at me like I was definitely nuts. Ares sat on Zeus's throne. Simple. I sat on Ares' lap. Can you sit here? Then I stood up. Ares stood up, sat down, stood up, and looked confused. Athena laughed out loud. Ares, brave and strong god of war, my eye. Hey, that's not fair, said Ares. Give me another one. And here's the picture. He's all mad, isn't he? The gods and goddesses all laughed. We had the crowd going now. Sam elbowed me. Nice work. Yeah, that was a close one, said Fred, tugging on his Cyclops cap. One more trick. Then we get the book and blast out of here, I whispered to Fred. I said, okay, Olympians, for Ares' final challenge, I need a coin. Does anyone have a coin? Everyone gave me a blank look. Coin? Said Hera. We're gods and goddesses. We live on nectar and ambrosia. We don't have coins. Dionysus spun and twirled his toga in a circle. We don't even have pockets, man. Then I realized I was still holding the apple. Any object will do. Ares, I'll bet I can put this apple down and you won't be able to jump over it. You're not going to put it in my lap, said Ares. I'm not going to put it in your lap, I said. Let's go. Ares handed his blood-stained spear to Hestia. Hold this. I'm jumping over the moon. I held the apple carefully in 2 hands. I looked slowly to the left. I looked slowly to the right. Then I put the apple on top of Ares' head. Hestia smiled. Dionysus danced and Aphrodite clapped. Wonderful, said Poseidon in a watery growl. Fantastic, said Sam. Now let's take a look at that book. Ooh, so clever, said Athena. The book? Said Fred. Very funny, said Hestia, smoothing my hair just like my mom does. Thanks, I said, but we do have our own Mount Olympus we have to get back to for opening night. So if we could just take a peek at the book and, oh, it's such a shame, said Hera. Zeus missed everything. A familiar whoosh of feathers and burst of light filled Mount Olympus. Zeus missed what? Said Zeus, suddenly appearing on his throne. Well, look who's here, said Hera. King Thunderhead. I'm sorry you missed it. The boys have to go. Hestia, do you know where the blue book is? Of course, said Hestia, goddess of home. It's on the bookshelf. Not so fast, thundered Zeus, crackling and shooting off little sparks. He looked a little shocked and frazzled since we had last saw him. Your new friends were going to trade me the book for that thunderbolt there, he pointed to Fred's aluminum foil weapon. But I just met up with Typhon and a gang of monsters and had a rather electrifying meeting. Zeus looked at me square in the eye. If you know what I mean. I knew what he meant. The jig was up. Just like in our play, Zeus had met the monsters and they had the real thunderbolts. And now he knew we were fakes. I had a sudden brainstorm. If we could get our hands on the book for even just a second, we could disappear in a puff of green mist before anyone could stop us. You know what? I said. I just remembered a great trick. Give me the book and I'll show you the best trick of all. Zeus sat, still smoking and popping from his run-in with the monsters and the thunderbolts. Hestia came back with something wrapped in a golden cloth. Here's the book, she said. We were home free. I reached for the bundle. I don't think so, said Zeus. He took the bundle, looked at me, and smiled a cruel smile. Why don't you do the trick where you give the golden apple to the goddess it belongs to? Oh, snap. My heart stopped. It's for the fairest, said Hera. It's obviously for me. For the fairest? Said Athena. They mean the most beautiful. When they say fairest, they don't mean fair. They mean the fairest of them all. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, right? For the fairest? Said Athena. Obviously me. The fairest? Said Aphrodite. That would be me. Who's the fairest? Said Zeus. I clutched the golden apple. I didn't dare look at Hera, Athena, or Aphrodite. I didn't know who was the fairest, but I did know that this wasn't Sarah, Jessica, or Cynthia I was messing with, and no matter which goddess I chose, I would be the deadest of them all. We're going to stop right there. Okay. Wonder who do you think you'll give it to? Good thing I can see the end and you can't.